Hey guys, what's going on? Fry London here. You guys know what to do. As always, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Today we're talking about a few different topics. As usual, make sure you stick around, watch the whole video. Let's get into it. So on to the first story. Valencia want Kepa. The Chelsea goalkeeper is reportedly a summer target for Valencia. The Spanish future at the bridge is uncertain, having been dropped by Lampard this season after a poor run of form. Equally, Chelsea have been linked with several new first-team goalkeepers to replace Arrizabalaga. Should the Blues consider cutting their losses on the Spaniard during the summer transfer window? And according to Mundo Deportivo, Valencia are showing an interest. So there we have, of course, a Spanish club looking at Kepa, and the fact that they're a Spanish club makes me think that this is a little more likely to happen, just because, you know, players like to be playing ideally in the, you know, the country that they prefer most. I think he probably does enjoy London because, you know, it's a great place to be, it's a great city. But I'm sure he has his family might be in Spain. I'm not sure on that situation, but you know, if his family are in Spain and he's got more ties over there, then maybe him thinking, I could go to a pretty decent club, Valencia, out in Spain. Why don't I just take that move? You know, like, things at Chelsea aren't going the greatest at the moment. Like, sure, he's had a bad sort of season in general. Before that, he had good moments. He definitely had like an okay season, but not like top tier like we sort of expected from Kepa. So maybe he's thinking, maybe just cut my losses. If they're willing to sell me and Valencia offer a good price to Chelsea, which I think it will have to be like 40 million plus at least, because we paid, I think, 72 million for him. So we're absolutely going to lose money on him, but I think we surely won't accept anything less than 40 to 50 million, somewhere maybe a little north of there ideally. But, you know, it's a tricky one. We've got a guy that we've got a long-term contract on who potentially doesn't want to be here, who we potentially don't want. And there's been a public sort of falling out, or at least, like, you know, he's been dropped by Frank, so people can speculate that there's been a falling out, so it's going to be a difficult bargaining position for Chelsea. And of course we've been linked with players like Donnarumma at the beginning of this whole sort of lockdown stuff. That's when we saw those rumours sort of freshest. More recently we have seen a lot of talks with Andre Onana from Ajax, so we could well see that developing into something. You know, we might see maybe Onana is our next keeper at Chelsea. And do I think he's an upgrade? At the moment in terms of form, yes, but in general, you know, like, he's a similar height to Kepa. I think he's got the same sort of problems as Kepa. Like, he certainly has had some top moments, but then again, so has Kepa. So it's a tricky one. I don't think it's a massive upgrade, and to think that we'd be losing out on money that we spent on Kepa and, you know, invested in him, we'd be losing out on that money, and we're going to have to fork out a fairly decent sum to get Andre Onana. It could be, you know, a business that we don't really have to take. You know, we've got Kepa on a long contract, so maybe we just stick with him, see how it is for the next season, maybe two. If then he's showing no signs of improving, then we could probably let him go. But that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And then this one is an interesting one. Pursuit of Sancho could depend on Man City. So let's go through this article. Manchester City could play a role in determining the outcome of Chelsea's pursuit of Jadon Sancho. As things stand, City are facing a 2-season ban from European competitions. They are set to have to appeal that decision in the Court of Arbitration for Sport next month. So that is going to be something that us Chelsea fans are going to want to pay good attention to. So if we then move down in the article, if they are unsuccessful, a 5th place finish in the Premier League would bring it in place with the Champions League. Manchester United currently occupy 5th spot, and according to Daily Mirror, are reliant on Champions League football to fund a move for Sancho. If United do not qualify, Chelsea's chances of landing the winger could increase. So, of course, as things stand in the Premier League, we're 4th, Man United are 5th. I could see it ending that way. I could definitely see Wolves or Sheffield getting 5th as well. But I think we'll be fine to, you know, get 4th. And then I do think that there's a good chance that Wolves or Sheffield will overtake Man United. We'll see how it all pans out. But yeah, City's situation is very, very crucial for us if we're going to pursue Jadon Sancho, as much as, you know, it's been reported and such. Because if they get a Champions League spot, we know that Jadon Sancho has basically, you know, been reported very, very widely to have said he won't make a decision until the end of the season, for one, and two, he's not choosing anyone that's not in the Champions League. So he knows his quality, he knows that he needs to be playing in the best competition to basically prove himself on the world stage. So, you know, it's very important. I really hope that Man City end up being, you know, getting their appeal sort of like wiped and it was all fine, and then it'll go to top 4 only, because that means Chelsea will be in the 4th spot, assuming everything goes to plan at the end of the season, and we will get in the Champions League and we'll be fine to at least have a chance of getting Jadon Sancho, because I'm sure there'll be other clubs. I definitely think Dortmund are fairly confident in keeping him for another year, but it's not all down to them, of course. They can reject the offer, but if he kicks up a fuss, then it'll be in their best interest to sell him now for, close to 100 million, whereas next season they'd probably get a bit less. So as Chelsea fans, we need to be paying a lot of attention to this Court of Arbitration of Sport hearing for Manchester City, because if it all goes well, we might well have Jadon Sancho on our hands, or, well, that's a bit of an exaggeration. We might have a very good chance of landing Jadon Sancho compared to Man United, and of course, you won't choose them if they're not in Champions League, so that's one thing, and two, you don't get Champions League money if you're not in the Champions League, so they will miss out on a bunch of cash that they would probably be putting towards that Sancho deal. So it's a very crucial thing for Man United that this deal, in their eyes, gets upheld, and it's fine. Manchester City are banned for 2 seasons, or at least maybe like 1 season, and they have a good chance of getting Sancho. I'd say they're not in any better position than we are, really. I'd say we're maybe 60% to 40% if it's just us two in the picture, though. I think there's going to be other clubs interested, and I think Dortmund are going to be doing all they can to keep him there. So just make sure you're keeping your eyes on it. Of course, I'll keep you guys up to date with any sort of going-ons that happen with it, so make sure you subscribe to see all that. But let's go to the next story. So the next story is Chelsea could abandon left-back transfer plan after new target's low asking price revealed. And this article is very long, but we'll just go through this top section. Nicolas Tagliafico has emerged as the latest left-back candidate for Chelsea to sign after Ajax reportedly valued the Argentine at just €25 million, which is £22.4 million. Tagliafico is therefore a significantly cheaper option than Ben Chilwell and Alex Telles, and could tempt the Blues to change their transfer plans. So basically, Ajax have come out and said, if anyone's looking for Tagliafico, I think they bought him for like 3 million or something about that a few years ago, they're saying that we can quite happily let him go for 25 million or 22.4 million pounds. So that is, when you present yourself with that option, of course we know Frank wants Ben Chilwell, who is going to be 80 million is reportedly what Leicester are asking for him, which is insane. I don't want to see anywhere near that amount of money spent on Ben Chilwell. If it was up to me, that is. If Frank wants it, I will of course support him in that decision. I'll support Ben Chilwell when he comes to the club, but if it was up to me, that would not be happening. I definitely think Alex Telles is the priority. Of course, we know the situation with PSG. If you guys don't, I made plenty of videos on it, go check them out. And then Tagliafico is another option that we've seen ourselves linked with, but it's sort of died down recently, and now that Ajax have announced that they're willing to accept a fairly low price, 22.4 million for Nicolas Tagliafico, Chelsea could be looking at that direction and saying, you know what, like Ben Chilwell, 80 million, sure, he's young, he's going to be a good player, has been very good defensively, not so much in his recent form, his last like 5-10 games or so. He's a good option, but is he worth 80 million? Absolutely not. Nicolas Tagliafico, better offensively and pretty decent defensively, and he's only 22.4 million. I think that's the kind of guy we should be going for. I absolutely think him or Alex Telles are the best options. If you're hearing these names, and if you're new around here and you haven't seen the video that I posted a while back comparing Ben Chilwell, Alex Telles, Nicolas Tagliafico, and Emerson, our current left back, I highly recommend you go watch that video, because it sort of gives a good overview of like each player's sort of their strengths, their weaknesses, how they compare against each other, and I think it was a really good video, so make sure you go check that out. You can go search for it, or I'll have it on the card up in the top corner. But yeah, Nicolas Tagliafico is a great option. I really hope we end up going for him. Ben Chilwell, like I said, I'll support Frank if we get him, but he's the bottom of my list in terms of like value for money. So something I've wanted to start doing is sort of featuring your guys' comments, and at the end of the video, if you have any questions or anything, I'll address them and sort of, give you a little section of the video to yourselves. So It's Chelsea Ting commented, please, what are your takes on Matheus Cunha, I think that's how you pronounce that, who plays for Hertha Berlin and we've been linked to recently. I think he'd be a good partnership for Tammy in centre forward. So, complete disclaimer, I've heard his name a few times mentioned, but I don't know much about him at all. So I'm just going to be looking at him on basically like a statistical analysis sort of way. This season, if we take a look at his stats, he has made 16 appearances, he has 4 goals and 2 assists. He plays in the Bundesliga and is a striker, but can sort of play on the right side and as a second striker cam sort of role. So he seems very decent, I'd give him that. Those stats are okay, nothing major, like 4 goals in 16 games, 4, 8, 12, 16. That's a goal every 4 games. So could definitely improve, but not the worst stats for a 20-year-old. He, if we take a look at his ratings this season though, I'm assuming he made a transfer move in January, because it says at RB Leipzig his rating was 6.38, so not great there. He only had 2 starts with 8 as a substitute, managed to get 1 assist. And then in the Bundesliga he has made 6 appearances with 4 goals, a 7.82 average rating. And his characteristics, if we take a look, strong at dribbling, long shots and through balls, which is very good characteristics. Weaknesses are passing, aerial duels, finishing and discipline. So aerial duels, that's not a great thing to be weak on. Passing, again, not a great thing to be weak on if we're going to be looking, you know, for a partnership with Tammy. Finishing, weak, definitely not something you like to see as a striker. And discipline, something that can, you know, get you in trouble and can sort of give you a bad taste in your mouth with a striker. So if he's more of a Diego Costa type, then sure, if it quite often works your advantage, but it can be a dodgy one. And his style of play is he plays the ball off the ground often, likes to shoot from distance, is a counter-attack threat, gets fouled often, likes to play long balls, and commits fouls often. So a bit of a wild guy, but if you take a look at his form here, he got a goal, and another goal, 2 of them being man of the match performances with a 9.32 rating there. So that is very impressive. You know, in these recent games, 4 goals on the bounce, that's very, very good. If he can keep this form up, then absolutely, I'd want a player like him. But based on the overall stats, I'd like to aim higher personally, but on that sort of form alone, I'd be very happy to get a player that's scoring a goal every game, because that is absolutely outstanding. But yeah, thanks for the comment, it's Chelsea Ting. If you want your comment featured, just make sure you comment on any video. I'm always looking through them, so if there's anything particularly interesting, I'll address it at the end of the video. So that's going to be the end of this one, guys. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.